Hi, welcome to the OSU Alumni Association's Travel Talk presentation, 2021 Travel Preview, Tulip Time with Mayflower, and our special guest, Sandy Doss. I am Kate Sanders with the OSU Alumni Association, Director for Alumni Programs and Alumni Group Travel. Some of you are viewing with us for the first time, and some of you have traveled with us in the past. Welcome to everyone. Our travel program has been around for over 30 years, providing group tour options for our alumni and friends from the university. We offer both exclusive departures and trips with a mix of alumni from OSU and other partnering institutions, such as USC, University of Washington, and many others. Every year, we select around 30 to 40 tours from a variety of well-established and well-respected travel providers and promote them to our community. When tours sell well, a professor, university leader, or an alumni association representative joins the tour, providing additional educational content about the destination and the university. Not only is that bond with the university strengthened by sending a host, but they also assist with tour logistics and help ensure you have a great time. This year, we invited representatives from various companies to speak to you about the tours and why they have been a trusted partner of the Alumni Association. So far, we have heard from AHI Travel, Odysseys Unlimited, Go Next, Orbridge, Lindblad Expeditions, Holbrook Travel, and now we have Mayflower Cruises and Tours. If you would like to review any of these webcasts, please visit osualum.com/travel talks and scroll to the 2021 travel preview header. This webcast is being recorded and will be posted online with other 2021 travel preview talks as well. It's so great to be at this point where we can talk about traveling and actually see it in our near future. Our conversations are changing from when can we travel to where can we travel, and well, of course, what tests do we need in order to get there. Traveling from now and into the summer will still be on a case-by-case basis, and if things keep improving and as more folks get vaccines, we are estimating by fall and early 2022, we should really be out and about. The industry is now talking about lots of specifics around what types of COVID tests that you have to have and vaccinations, of course. And we will navigate all of this together. I do anticipate COVID testing to be the norm for going on forward. And that proof of a vaccine, it'll be the next step for certain types of travel and destinations. But today we're going to introduce you to a new to OSU, that is, travel company, Mayflower, and our 2022 tour, Tulip Time down the Rhine River. This tour is next year, but we wanted to talk about it right now because, well, it's booking very fast. And we have a very special offer for OSU travelers, free airfare. Yep, you heard that right. There is free airfare, but the trip is filling, so you don't want to wait too long. And we'll talk about what is remaining in what room categories during this conversation. So now, without further ado, please welcome Sandy Doss. She's the Business Development Manager for Mayflower and an OSU mom. Hi, Sandy, welcome.
Well, hi, everybody. Wow, it is such a great joy to be with you today. And I am going to tell you guys that I am officially an honorary Beaver, as I am a parent to a senior under the CEOS program at OSU. And so I am quite excited about this opportunity for you all. I think, Kate is very right that we're moving from, the thoughts of when we're going to travel to picking our next great grand adventure. And so hopefully in the next few minutes, we're going to get to take a little journey, an epic journey down the Rhine River together. And I'm thrilled to share it with you all. And so I'm going to change my screen here. I'm going to bring me off a video and let's see if we get this let's see if technology works for us. And I think it does. Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can see your slide.
Awesome. Well, it is a joy as Mayflower Cruises and Tours to be a part of the OSU alumni travel roster. And as Kate shared, guys, this is a trip that is 13 months away. So we're not talking in the near future. We're casting our lines out a little bit further into the late spring of 2022. And this gives us really this beautiful period of time to build the anticipation and the storylines of our trip together before we actually travel together. And I wanted to take a moment to say, you know, rivers, if we were to kind of pull far away, you know, rivers are critical to the development of communities around the world, right? They develop our cities and our communities, defining each region indelibly. And maybe you're new to river cruising, or maybe you have traveled in a variety of rivers around the world. But the Rhine River is the second longest river in Western Europe, and it's a stunning waterway to cruise down and witness some of Europe's most historic sites as well as landmarks. No other river actually has as many world-renowned cities situated on its banks, and our travels are really going to capture so much. We're going to explore 4 countries together on this 11-day adventure, enjoying actually a variety of talks, as well as guided excursions in these various areas, deepening our celebration of the unique traditions, the spectacular spring blooms, which I'm going to talk to you a little bit about today, and the cultures of Western Europe. And we're doing this all on a luxury, intimate river cruise. And something I'm going to note before we take away from our geography and sort of fantasy jump into the trip itself is that we're going to be taking the route from the lower Rhine River through what you see here in like Strasbourg and Heidelberg into what we call the central middle Rhine Valley, and then making our way up to the upper Rhine River. And so we'll begin our travels in Switzerland. And this is the storybook trip. And you're going to hear me say this like probably 100 times. This is truly picturesque. I mean, it'll appear to you that around every bend as we make our way up this river, there's going to be a castle perched high above, you know, on a cliff, with vineyards spanning the views of all the different unique appellations of wines that we might experience while we're traveling. And our first stop is our travels into Lucerne, Switzerland. And welcome to Lucerne. This is a picturesque old town, guys. This is surrounded by majestic mountains. The town's buildings are richly decorated, as you see here, with village life and hunting scenes. What you can't see in this image is all the different paintings that you find throughout the town. And I often describe Lucerne as an outdoor art gallery. It really is that kind of eye candy experience. It's situated on Lake Lucerne and the Reuss River. So you kind of see the Reuss River here. And it's spectacular. This is, you know, it's a compact town. I know we're all wanderers. We wouldn't be joining this call today if we didn't love to wander. And this is one of those towns you can wander in, but not get lost. It's very easy to navigate. And we're going to be taking the opportunity to have some guided tours while there. Our hotel is just a 15-minute walk to this bridge that you see. And there's so many iconic historical aspects of this. And in fact, before I leave this slide, I want to bring up one of them because I think it's so interesting. This bridge that you see here in the center of this image, it was built in the 1400s. And in 1408, it's called the Mill Bridge. But it's one of the first examples of using hydro energies and creating a hydroelectric system. Believe it or not, there underneath there, where you see that turbulent water, is a turbine. And so I find it so funny that you have this modern day, you know, hydroelectric energy on and a bridge above it that's only, you know, was built in the 1400s. We're going to ponder over many sights and sounds of the city. And this is one that you'll probably catch some images of. This lion here is dying from a spear wound in its side. So it's a very sad, sad image. And beneath it in Latin, the inscription says, "To the loyalty and bravery of the Swiss." But what is really interesting is Mark Twain wrote a travel log in the 1880s, and he describes this monument as the most mournful and moving piece of stone in the world. And so I think he kind of captured it in that statement for sure. What you're also going to find is just promenade where you're walking along the Lake Lucerne, or you're walking along the Reuss River here, and it's just um, every which way you turn is captivating. One of the things here is this is called the Chapel Bridge, and this bridge is the oldest covered bridge in Europe. It was built in 1333, and inside this bridge are these murals, amazing murals. Remember, I said it's like a open-aired art gallery, the entire town. And so you're going to enjoy this, but I'm going to give you a quick hint for those of you that will be joining this trip. What you don't see in this picture, you see this swan. Before this swan, there's a staircase that takes you down into the water, actually. If you're an early morning riser, I'm going to give you a photographic hint. You would walk down these stairs, not into the water, just a few steps down, and the swans will be attracted to you. They'll swim to you. As they do swim to you, you're going to get a picture of a swan on the water with the Chapel Bridge behind, and then the mountains behind that. And you're going to get, serious photographic brownie points from your friends and family, as it really is quite a shot.
Sandy, I was just thinking that this trip seems to be made for a photographer or anyone who likes to take pictures. I can just imagine. Make sure you have those memory cards for your camera.
Talk about like downloading every night. Yeah. It really is. It is that. And, one of the things that we're going to find in this trip is that this is a real mix, guys, of guided experiences where you're led through these excursions with a local team, but then also optional excursions. Not many, but there's about 3 or 4 per every cruise. And this is one of them. This is an excursion that you can take up into the Alps in Mount Pilatus. And this is a great opportunity to overlook Lucerne. You see in the background there, Lake Lucerne, kind of just peeking through. But the views from here, guys, are exceptional, absolutely exceptional. And so it gives you, again, I always feel like travel is about perspective. And, not only do we have new perspectives in new places of the world, but even perspectives of where we are. It can just go on and on. And so this will be a fun activity for those of you that aren't scared of heights.
Do you know the elevation that you're at when you're on the top of that mountain?
I don't off the top of my head. However, I will find out and I will send it to you because I will send it to you before I guess. I will get back to you guys on that.
I just Googled it, 6,982 feet.
Oh, well, there you go. That'd be
beautiful
kind
view.
Of like our Mount Hood-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the, now I talked to you about the Reuss River, which is where Lucerne is located, but we're actually going to be, of course, cruising along the Rhine River. So we're going to take a beautiful transfer. It's a very scenic transfer from Lucerne to Basel. And it's in Basel that we're actually going to board our vessel. And one of the things that I share about our cruising is these are our ships. We own these ships. We actually have 22 river cruising vessels throughout Europe. And all of our ships are no older than 2015. And if they were built in 2015, they were refurbished in 2019. But actually, we are adding new ships to the Rhine in 22. So you very likely may be on our new Luna that is just starting to sail in 2021. All of our ships are designed in the same structure, which makes it kind of nice because they're all they're very similar. Upon boarding, guys, this is, we are not roughing it on this trip. Let me just say that out loud. This is a wine and dine, absolutely no diets allowed because you are going to enjoy every meal and snack, but we'll enjoy an evening gala and a reception. upon boarding. And one of the things that I think is important to note is all of our drinks are included with your meals, your wine, your beer, your sodas. And so I think that's always very helpful. Also, all gratuities are included in your pricing. So when you're looking at this, there's not a lot of surprises in the pricing. And I think that's really important to note. Also, the wines that we're going to have. We are really traveling through wine country along the Rhine here, and therefore you're going to have very specific wines per each region that you're in, which makes it also a lot of fun. And so we'll have settled in, had a wonderful gala. There is only 90 cabins here, guys, so you're going to end up knowing everybody on this trip on your boat itself. And our first stop is actually in Breich, Germany. And if you're a fan of the world of the Grimm's fairy tales, this is how I kind of feel about this area. It is, it's located, Breich is located on the border of Germany and France, and the region is very well known for the Black Forest. And you can kind of see, by the way, let me come back to this, the hillside here, the mountains in the foreground. The Black Forest is famed for these thick forests, as well as the villages that dart this region. And it's called the Black Forest because of the gorge-like valley system that it sits in. And there's these dark color of evergreen trees that gives it a very thick canopy. And so there's a mysterious shroud to this area and to this forest system. And we're going to kick off our cruise actually with options as well. So this is included. You could choose to do an active hike in the Black Forest. You might choose to go to the town center. This is renowned for the cuckoo clocks in this area. So you'll meet with the artisan and talk about the productions of cuckoo clocks, maybe even buy one to take home. You're also going to have these are my favorite things. I love to eat and drink. I just to say that. But this is where you get to have a class in how to make a Black Forest cake. So we're going to go through the process. It'll be the best darn Black Forest cake you've ever had in your whole life. And I'm going to be honest, it's like a half a bottle of Kirsch, which is a cherry schnapps that they soak the sponge cake in. So you may not remember the cake demonstration all that much, but you're going to have a lot of fun. And so we definitely want to delve into, the traditions and the foods of a particular region. We carry on and we arrive in Strasbourg, France. And Strasbourg means the city of roads. This is truly a city that was built and influenced by a presence of different nationalities. It's a merge between this German influence, which I think you can kind of see in this imagery, and French influence. I'm just going to say it, another fairy tale city, and you're just going to, every one of them. It draws on food lovers. So if you have a culinary interest, this will be really appealing. Very rich meals, Alsatian cuisine. And it's important center as it's gone back from French to German rule. So this town is like, it's been under different leadership back and forth between France and Germany over over the centuries. And it's a very strolly, lots of cafes along the waterfront here in these canals, very beautiful, atmospheric. And one of the town centers or the town appeals here is you're actually in one of the first UNESCO sites that we're going to experience on this trip. And I don't know about you, but I actually have a checklist, forget the, check in a passport kind of thing, but the world of UNESCO sites, how many have you been and are you counting, so to speak? And you are in a UNESCO site here. And this church is the Cathedral of Notre Dame. And it is seen from every aspect of the city. And it was built in 1015 over a 400-year period, guys. Here's what I think is interesting. For the first 200 years of its history, it was the tallest building in the world. And then now it is considered the tallest building still standing from the Middle Ages. So how incredible is that?
And Sandy, that is
yes.
Wonderful. There was one quick question that came through chat that I wanted to address real quick.
Sure.
It's a great one. Somebody was talking about motion sickness and, typically on ocean travel. that can definitely be an issue with motion sickness. But how does it vary with riverboat travel? And I will say, I personally get very motion sick, but I don't on a riverboat. I don't have
No.
any problems on a riverboat. You're moving slow, and you're typically moving, well, you'd be moving early in the morning, maybe getting somewhere, or sometimes later in the evening. But I personally use motion sickness medication for being in vehicles, for being on ships, but in
Yep.
riverboats, I'm fine.
You are on flat waters here, so you really aren't feeling that movement. And you're right
Mhm.
about the sailings often will occur overnight, which also helps to keep, anytime a boat is in movement, it's also very stable. But the ships do have stabilizers. They're really state of the art. So as I said, we're one of the newest fleets in the industry itself. So I wouldn't anticipate any challenges with that and seasickness or just having that problem. Um,
But you
and
always pack it just in case,
yeah,
because
I
as
would agree with that.
someone, yes, as someone that is prone to motion sickness, you sometimes you just never know. So I always
I agree.
pack it just
Yeah.
in case. But the fun thing is too is you'll be able to see how the ship or the vessel is designed. And I know one of our travelers, she loves riverboat travel, but she has to make sure that her head is, or when she's laying down, she's facing downriver. So we always pick the cabins for her, knowing which direction the
Ah,
boat is moving to make
smart.
sure she still is moving in a downriver. So yeah, those are the fun things that we can look out for.
And Kate, I should also mention to everybody, as this is our own ships, I'm really able to hand, let's say, pick and have a full, real time understanding of our cabin selections at any given time, which I think is very, very important when deciding to take a trip like this. Um, One of the things that we're going to be kind of navigating throughout this trip is, World War II, guys, had a very significant effect in this part of the world, of course. And so different communities, had unfortunately, bombing attacks and such. And so as we go through these towns, you're going to see these amazing restoration initiatives, but you're also going to see towns that somehow made it through the entire war without any, catastrophic effects. And this is one of those towns. It's an optional activity that we can take, but it really gives you the sense and the history, and it's unchanged over centuries of time. And this is, while we're in Strasbourg, just so you know. We continue, guys, and now we're really in what I call the middle Rhine Valley in this region. So it's very wine rich, I should mention. And for all of us here in the Pacific Northwest, we love our wines. So it will be of great fun. We're going to arrive in Monum, and there's a 20-minute ride actually. So we'll disembark, and then we'll get on a coach to bring us into Heidelberg, Germany. And in Heidelberg, this is by many, is considered one of the most romantic cities in Germany. This is situated on the Neckar River. So this river isn't, let's say, mighty enough to hold a ship like ours. But Heidelberg is the oldest and most visited university town. And I think this is fun, as we're all alumni here, is, it's renowned for the university studies. The university in this town was, guys, founded in 1386 under the instruction of Pope Urban VI. And Heidelberg, Germany's oldest university, is one of the world's oldest surviving universities, continuously run oldest surviving universities. It was the third university established in the Holy Roman Empire. Take that in for a second. That is an old campus. And it's picturesque, as I said, and again, another fairy tale. But here we have this tower and gates, that was designed to sort of give this sense of respect for the city, but also fear of the city. So there's a formal entrance into Heidelberg here, as you see. There's actually a monkey statue here. It's not in this image, But supposedly, if you touch the monkey statue, then it says that in your future, you will be back to Heidelberg again at some other time in your life. And it takes us into the old town. And this is kind of pulling back a little bit because I just want to give you a sense of what this is about and what this all looks like. It's just extraordinary. And one of the things that I think in every one of our village visits is you're always going to find this magnificent cathedral that's very central to the community. It's always found there central in town. But then you'll also find these incredible fortresses, and these palaces that are often integrated here. And this castle, guys, I have to make some mention of because this is quite the experience. They call this the Heidelberg Palace. And essentially, it was built over centuries, over 400 years it took them to build this, starting in the 13th century. And then it stopped to exist in the 17th century. And it is considered, the ruins are considered among the most important Renaissance structures north of the Alps. So historically speaking, this castle has a lot of influence for those that loved this particular area of studies. It's only been partially rebuilt since its demolition, which happened in the 17th, 18th century. And so we're going to take a funicular railway, and you see the funicular. Look at the picture in the very top in the middle. That's a funicular. It's like a train that's pulled up. So that's how we get to it. You can hike to it, but it's a bit of a hike. So I should tell you that up front. And we're going to really enjoy the sights and sounds of this city. As I said, it's one of the most romantic in Germany. So it just has this strolly eye candy experience, the history. We're going to have guided talks about this area as we're there, but we'll also have chances to explore things on our own. This is another active hike for those of you that like to get out and about. You can hike up to this area, Mount Kunstal. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, probably not. And so we, we'll continue our journey. So we return to our vessel.
So Sandy, that was a great talking about all the walks and looking at those towns. One thing definitely to pack in your suitcase are those comfortable shoes for walking.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, because that you do want to have those comfortable shoes. And if someone, doesn't want to do as much walking, of course, there are options to stay closer to the riverboat and to wander around. So we do have options.
I want to add to that, Kate, because one of the things that I love about river cruising is the destination comes to you, not the destination. So there's a certain element you can kind of see here where the riverboat is parked right there on the promenade. At any point in this journey, you may pull back and say, I just want to take it in, but I don't need to tour this, or I may not need to do this activity. I just want to enjoy this, and I encourage that. I think there is a lot to be said for that silent time in our travels, as well as those guided experiences. And that walking shoes piece is very important. Most everything we do, guys, is very flat. So when I say Emerald Active, that just means those are for those of you that really like to keep, a pretty active lifestyle. And so you want to be a little bit more active. This is Koblenz, Germany. And Koblenz is really a beautiful spot because I love this image here. You get to see the confluence of the Moselle and the Rhine River and where both rivers meet. The town itself, guys, is 2,000 years old. It's kind of a renowned historic cityscape, but also, a robust city center. It sort of has a Mediterranean feel, is how I describe this area. It definitely the climate that we're going to be in while we're traveling along the Rhine will be in the 60s during the day. So you'll have, kind of a light jacket. I always say layers is very welcomed, at this time of year. And then in the evenings, it can get a bit cooler. So you might even have, a scarf and possibly even, something to put over your head if you wish in the evenings, if you like to sit out on the top deck. This statue here, which we saw in that first slide when we enter Clements, is the Dutch Eck. It's the German corner, and it's a monument really just to signify the unification of Germany. And you know, you get these castles, you get this again, these amazing history meet modern day. And this is actually one of the fortresses that we're going to visit. And I'm not going to say this right, guys. I don't know if anybody can. Kate, can you pronounce this?
No.
Okay, well, we're going to take a shot at it. I think it's Aaron Breitstein. We're just going to pretend that's right.
I think that sounds really good. I wish I did.
yeah, we're going to go with this. But it's dating back to the 16th century. You know, this is where I just, in Europe, you know, the dates and the age of so many of these locations is just awe-inspiring. But this was actually a personal residence, this big fortress that you're seeing here. And it actually became a military base for the Prussian army as well. It's about 118 meters above the Rhine. So it just is magnificent. You know, it's one of those just, you know, nothing in my pictures, guys, is capturing what this feels like in real life. I just can't, you know, give that for you. But you know, it's the second largest preserved fortress in Europe, second largest. It was constructed in its present form from 1817 to 1828. And just a mammoth site. You take this gondola to get to it, which is a lot of fun. And this just gives you an idea. Today, it's a variety of museum exhibits. So there's a lot to see here. Also, the views of the Moselle and the Rhine here. It's the best photography. I know we talked about that, but excellent photography. And, you know, I keep talking about our central churches in each of these communities. This is another one. This is the Church of Our Lady, and it dates back to the 5th century, if you can believe that. And so all of these communities are very strollable, they're walkable. As I said, at every bend, we seem to encounter a vineyard and a castle, and yet another vineyard and a castle. For those of us, you know, that love to peer out our windows and sit on the balcony, this is going to be something you will just cherish about this trip. And we have
Sandy, you just said one of the things that I love to do actually on riverboat travels. In the early mornings, like you know, as the sun is rising, it's one of my most favorite things, especially if we're moving, is to sit on top of that boat. And I usually have to have gloves on because it can be chilly in the morning.
Yeah.
But to take photos and just watch the scenery go by, it is one of the most magical times on boat travel. It's so wonderful.
I really agree. And, you know, and again, you're in UNESCO World Heritage Sites. So, I mean, just the gorge alone here, the beauty that you see along the way, you know, it's not even all just the guided stuff that you're doing. It's just all these sights and sounds that you capture as you're making your way through the countryside. You know, I mean, if you've seen one castle, you've seen them all. I don't think that's true. And, you know, here's another example of these just, you know, terraced cascading, you know, vineyards, and the wine tastings and the wine experiences that you're going to have on this are excellent as well. You know, we're going to make our way into Cologne, Germany, and this isn't really your typical German city. This is, you know, many parts of this city, guys, was victim to the bombing during the war. And Cologne has this kind of juxtaposed. It showcases both a modern and a historical aspect. So you have this super mod, like you see here, kind of if you look at some of the buildings and the skyscrapers in the foreground here. And then you have this incredibly beautiful historic, you know, cathedral sitting there front and center. We're going to enjoy walking tours, so guided visits throughout this region. I have to make a mention of this. If you have, you know, a significant other you're bringing with you, or you want to recognize somebody that you have loved, this bridge is known for these locks that you see here. And what you do, guys, is you bring a lock. You can renew your vows, you can whisper, you know, little somethings to that loved one, and then you place the lock on the bridge and you ceremoniously walk over to the railing here and you throw the keys into the Rhine. And that locks your love forever. So there's the sappy romantic. And so if you have a lock, pack that, bring it with you, and you can participate there. And this is just a different aspect of that bridge so that you can see what I'm talking about.
Well, and I guess for the more environmentally cautious, you would pocket those keys instead of
Okay,
dropping
maybe
it
you could
into the
pocket those
Rhine.
keys. And yes, okay, yes.
Yes.
This is another UNESCO World Heritage Site, guys. Look at the spires on, look at this cathedral. I mean, this is cavernous. It is massive. It took great casualty during the war. The only thing that survived here, guys, was the 2 spires. So there's definitely been rehabilitation to this building. But the construction of this began in 1248 and went on for 300 years. And then it was just halted. The construction halted. And literally for 200 years, it just sat half built. And then in 1840, it started up again, and in 1880 completed. And the detail in this, the Cologne Cathedral here is just, I mean, if you've been to Notre Dame in Paris, or, you just can't help but be enthralled with each part and piece of that building. And so we're going to enjoy that. We're going to spend some time, as I said, exploring, the history of it. We even have, again, some optional activities. This is one to a perfumery. I think that's how you say it, a perfumery. So if you want some beautiful scents to bring home, this would be fun. And then, guys, we're going to make our way to our final city, our magnificent city here in the Netherlands, the Amsterdam. And, I gotta say, sometimes I laugh because I'm like, what do you say about Amsterdam? It is just truly one of those cities. It's considered the happiest place on earth, and it's charming. There's cobblestone streets. It is considered the bicycle capital of the world. And, over here in Portland, we got a lot of bikers. But lots of old-fashioned bikes are everywhere. Some say it's the Venice of the North. There's over 1,200 bridges that connect this renowned city, and it just has this very laid-back vibe. Something that you could do on this, if you wanted, was extend an extra night in Amsterdam. So we can arrange that for you if you want to spend a little more time here. There's surely a lot to see in the museums and art galleries and the dining. But, to be honest, what we're really bringing you here for, ready, drum roll, is the gardens. You guys are in for an absolute treat. And Kate picked this cruise specifically on this date because this is the optimum time to see these tulips in bloom at the Keukenhof Gardens. And guys, this is magnificent. I mean, this is, forget, you're going to need a whole nother round of camera digital cards for this, because you're talking about 7 million tulips. And those of us in Washington and Oregon on this call, tulips are a thing here as well. And so you can appreciate what we're talking about here. 7 million tulips. It is famous. This area is only open for 8 weeks. And there's over 80 acres that we're going to explore of these flowers, guys. Over 2,000 varieties of tulips. And it kind of gives us this glimpse of the natural beauty. It's considered the most beautiful garden in the world, to be quite honest. So if you love botanical gardens, this is not to be missed. There are
even an extra day in that area just for the gardens would be worth it.
I really think so. I mean, it is just absolutely. And for those that maybe have used your walking shoes a little bit too much, you can rent carts and drive through this, like on these little personal carts. So there's options here that you don't even have to be walking it at that point. You probably, if you're like, okay, this time I'm just going to sit it out and enjoy a little cart ride. But there's even a walk of fame for the tulips, like the Hollywood Walk of Fame, just beyond colors, beyond diversity. You can even vote on what's grown the following year, so you can participate. This is where we give that Dutchman's wave through the windmills. But, the Netherlands bring a whole nother aspect and, let's say, perspective to the experience we've had along the Rhine. And something I have not talked about is the ship itself. And I think you need to know what is home away from home. Guys, This is, you have 58 crew members supporting you, and there's just 90 cabins in total. So if that tells you, your ratio between crew and yourselves, and it is absolutely nothing is left to chance. You are really cared for from beginning to end. The spaces throughout the vessel are opulent and spacious. I have to talk about this. Most river cruises do not have a pool. This is where you will pack a bathing suit. Some of them have like a hot tub kind of scenario. This is an actual heated pool, and it has a retractable roof. It's at the back of the ship, and then the wall removes at the back. So you literally could be floating and looking at castles, but at night, this is so cool. The floor comes up and it's dried off, and this becomes a movie theater and a gathering spot. So it's this transformable space at the back of the ship, and so you're going to enjoy it from both vantage points, I'm sure. As I said, drinks are included with your meals, the wine, beer, and sodas, but we have a wonderfully well-suited bar. We have plenty of spaces in the lounge. The sun deck, as Kate mentioned, is like a favored spot. Absolutely, spacious and beautiful. We actually even host special evening dinners out on the sun deck. And so you'll have these dinners that relate to the area you're in, indicative of the cuisine that you would have in that region. So there's a lot of fun, there. Something that I also want to mention, because I need this, is personal listening devices. This is included in your trip. So this helps you with any of the guided visits that we might have. And Kate made a mention of this, and so I'm going to really reiterate behind her on this. We have an awakening of the sleeping bear for 2022. Here we are 13 months before this trip, guys, and there's just 19 spots left on this sailing, 19. So this is not one of these experiences, unfortunately, that you have a lot of time to decide if you're going to join it or not, because there isn't a lot of cabins left. But we have cabins in each of these categories. So this is one of the staterooms, and it's called an ocean view room on the Riviera deck. And we have 7 cabins left in that category. In this category, guys, we have 2 on the Vista deck. And we are one of the first in the industry to give you a push button where you see this window here. The top comes down to a railing, and all the rooms become a balcony suite. And so you have this kind of waist high railing here to look at open aired. But this gives you an idea of these, the spaciousness of the rooms. On the Horizon deck, I have got 3 cabins left, and this is called the Grand Balcony Suites. And you'll see this has like a glass partition, but you can walk out onto the balcony if you wish. So also very well received. And this gives you an idea of the design of that. And of course, if you're really just so excited, you can even join and be part of the owner's suite here, where you have multiple rooms, and it's incredibly spacious. And so this gives you an idea of that room category. I would say the rooms range from about 130 square feet, about 130, 150 to about 500 square feet, 600 square feet. So it gives you an idea of you're not in like a ocean cruising, where you have the very small rooms. 2 things that Kate mentioned here is that we have free airfare that is included in this trip. It's through March 31st, but like I said, I don't think I'll have cabins if you wait that long. But one of the things that is really exciting is we have a 90-day no risk deposit guarantee. So if you find that your mind and your heart is into this, you could put a deposit down, and then you have 90 days to decide if you're really going to take the cruise or not. And so that would be my suggestion, because it would give you just a safety net there. And then I believe, Kate, you wanted to make mention.
Yes, but first, real quick, we had a question about how many days in Amsterdam. And so the tour itself has 1 day in Amsterdam. And then if you are returning home on the standard itinerary, you would fly out
on day 11. Yeah, yes. You'd fly out the next morning, or you could choose to stay an extra night.
Right. And the Keukenhof Gardens are the gardens that are the most world renowned for tulips. But during this tour, I mean, you'll see tulips blooming in a variety of other areas, but the official gardens are the Kukenhof Gardens.
And that is a full day in those gardens, by the way.
Yeah.
You are truly there for the day.
Yeah, so that is that's the one question that we had. And yes, so that is specifically that trip. But it's really great option. And Sandy, what she is now talking about is she just told me about this new tour, and I just wanted to mention it here on this call to you all. It's the first time anyone has even heard about it. We're thinking about offering it, and I wanted to get your, I guess, opinions to see if this would be of interest. But it's the debut of this Discovery yacht sailing. It's somewhere else. It's around Croatia, but it is, wait, am I right? Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Are you ready? You
Yeah,
ready?
no, you take it away, because it is,
Okay,
it's
guys,
really cool.
I'm going to give you, this is the biggest, fastest round the world tour ever.
This one will be quick, and then we'll definitely jump back to
But I
question.
need to share with you guys. Okay, so let's say that you have been on river cruises and maybe you loved what we just saw and all the wonderful elements of what we saw on the Rhine cruise, but maybe you have an appeal for coastal cruising, and you have a love affair in that arena. This is a brand new ship, guys. It debuts in January 2022. This is Discovery Yacht Sailing. So this is a yacht. Now, you go, oh, well, that's nice. It's probably like ridiculously expensive. Nope, not ridiculously expensive. It's only 100 passengers and 50 cabins. But what Kate and I started dreaming up was an opportunity. Maybe you want to wait a little bit to do a trip that's further back into 2022. And so this is a trip to explore the French and Italian Rivieras with Corsica, guys. And this is not, let's say, I'm going to call this an off the beaten experience, because this is a ship that is small enough that we can pull into these ports of calls and visit these very authentic villages that pretty much you don't access any other way. You might by land have visited some of these sites, but often these Americans don't get to see these areas. And the travels take us from Nice all the way to Rome, with stops along the way in, again, a photographer's dream, truly a photographer's dream. But we start in Nice, which is the second most popular city in France, second to Paris. And we can extend our stay there too, if you wanted to spend more time in Nice. And we then move from Nice into this cruising experience where we've boarded the yacht, and we stop in Monton. Again, those charming historic villages with incredible stories to tell. We're going to take a journey through Portofino. I think this area, guys, is some of the most picturesque emerald blue seas. I mean, we're talking just blue, green, azure. They call this the Côte d'Azur is the region here. And in Portofino, this is the land of rich and famous. So I can't guarantee that you won't meet somebody along those docks, because it's very possible. The yachts are all there. We're going to go through Portoferraio, Italy. This is Elba Island. It's a very dramatic, rocky, location, and we're going to make several stops on this island. But this is where Napoleon was exiled, so it has a rich history with Napoleon, and we'll walk in the footsteps of Napoleon there. And then this is really interesting. We'll make a stop in Calvi, and this is in Corsica. And what I think is interesting is Christopher Columbus was born here. So, look at that, great explorers of the world. Here we are. And because the ship, again, is so small, you come into these harbors, and you can't see in this picture, but when you come into Bonifacio, it is two huge cliffs on both sides, very narrow. Most ships never, ever make a stop here, and it is the most quaint fishing village. The cuisine is to die for in every one of these spots, but you have this rich historical aspect, like what we were seeing on the Rhine, with these fortresses and old city town centers. And then we end in Rome. And again, this is the fastest trip through the Mediterranean you've ever made, but you can extend your time in Rome as well. And like I said, it's 50 cabins, and this is what it looks like. So it just is fun. So if we all want to dream for a minute, this is truly a dream.
It
um,
is. And this is one, so if anyone is interested in possibly, we're, thinking about adding this one to our itinerary. So just let me know. You can always email travel@osualum.com if this piqued your interest at all, because
and can I say
it
one
does seem
thing
pretty
too,
cool.
Kate, to answer a question for the gal that was
Yeah.
asking about seasickness? Um, this ship is built with a type of stabilizer system that does not anchor. And so we do not touch the seabed floor, and it's part of our sustainability propositions. We also have another ship in Antarctica that does the same thing, but it has these world-class stabilizers on the ship. So you really aren't experiencing, let's say, that movement like you might think you would, and so it's something just to let you guys know.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, that was just a really quick sneak peek. And Sandy, once I'll turn my video back on too. And we'll go ahead and see if we've answered a few questions in the Q&A as we're going through, but if anyone has any other questions, please feel free to drop them in the Q&A box. It's located at the bottom of your screen. So those little talking heads, well, not really heads, but the little symbols and say Q&A. So go ahead and drop those there. And the prices. Yes, Sandy, why don't you talk a little bit about the categories that are available and the price?
Okay,
And as a
so
quick reminder, real quick, the tour dates are April 27th to May 7th.
April 27th through May 7th. And what I love again is that you guys are coming upriver and you're there in that first week of May, which is when the tulips are absolutely, at least historically speaking,
Historically,
in beautiful bloom. One of the things that Kate mentioned as we started this free air, any gateway that you're traveling from, guys, this is round trip included air. That air value is about $1,700 to $1,800 per person. So that is significant. So when you think about the pricing of the cruise, it starts at $42.99, but that's with air, 11 days, almost all your meals included, all your activities. You could take those optional excursions, but you don't have to, and you're as still, I think, as full-bodied, of an experience. You would never know, I guess, that you're missing anything. So the pricing on the Riviera deck is between $4,200 and $4,300. And so if you back the air out of that, I think it makes the 11-day trip like $2,600 or something like that. I don't know, fuzzy math. So it's a pretty good deal. But the panorama, the balcony suites, you remember where the window comes down, those jump to $4,900. And I would say range between $4,900 and $5,300 if you want the full open balcony that you saw in that image. And we do have those categories available. So as of today, and this can change, unfortunately, so quickly, this sleeping bear has shocked all of us. And you're talking about intimate cruise ships, so there's only so much space that we have. But as of today, we do have that inventory here for you guys. And let me just really share what that was, if I can find.
On osualum.com/travel, there's a web page also for the trip, and there's some diagrams on the rooms and the room categories, in the reservations. And actually, Sandy, we have our pricing is a little different than what you mentioned.
Oh,
so
yeah.
We do have the Emerald Stateroom is $4,629, and I think this might be just a matter of taxes. Whether the taxes
I think we rolled in, so there wasn't anything. Yeah, exactly.
So that's kind of what you heard from Sandy versus what you're going to see online. It's just that we just made sure all the taxes and everything was rolled into all the
ports of call, so that you don't have anything that you're coming out with once you're there.
Right. And then your the panorama balcony, $52.79. So they're just right in that ballpark, but having all those taxes wrapped in.
Yep. And that, and again, like I said, that includes the air. So so it's a very favorable price point, I think, for the kind of comprehensiveness of the trip.
And then what about we had one question here, the Riviera rooms, what's the availability on those
So
ones?
the ocean view rooms, there's 7 of that category, 7 cabins remaining. And here's what's beautiful about those rooms. They're comfortable. They have all the amenities you wish for. The only thing that you don't have, they're all outside facing, guys. So you have full views. You just don't have that open air balcony aspect to them. And I often find that people will choose that category because you want to be out and about on the vessel. You're not the type of person to spend a lot of time in your room. And so it's a great solution for that. Like you get up in the morning, you get dressed, and you're just out on the decks, enjoying different spots from that vantage point.
Yeah.
Very
Great.
affordable.
Yeah, definitely. And then the solo travelers and the cost for a solo traveler.
So we can offer you a single supplement fee. We have a guaranteed share, and it's possible that you could be placed with a roommate. So let's say that you wanted a roommate, we'll definitely make every effort to find you a roommate. And I will hand work with you on that because I think it's important you would hopefully know the person, and we'll create that kind of dynamic.
They wouldn't necessarily be an Oregon State traveler, so this
right,
would be.
it's possible that you would have it, but like I said, because we own the ship, we're able to sort of dig in and know who's on that cruise with you. And so that's something that we can arrange for you. We can also arrange for you to do extensions if you wish for front or back end of that trip. So that's easy to do as well.
And then someone just asked the website to see the rooms and pricing, and I am putting in our Q&A box. It's going to be a really long link, but that you could click on that, and you'll go right to the website so you can see.
And Kate, for any of you guys, if you want to talk about the particular cabins, like I can tell you it's cabin 303 or 308, or so you are welcome to, give me a ring and I'll walk you through this precise available cabins if you find that you're ready to jump on with us.
Yeah, and there's also a really great video on that website that kind of highlights the tour, so it's a fun one to watch.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, so that is the trip, and let's see if there's any other questions. We're just about at an hour, so I want to make sure we have.
And Kate, are you sending them? We do have the full brochure for you to see of the Corsica trip, the Italian and French Riviera.
Yes, I'll mention it I'll send a follow-up email to everyone who was with us today, and they'll be able to see that
the real
trip.
itinerary. Mm-hmm. I went through that as fast as I've ever gone through anything.
Well, it was a sneak peek.
Yeah, sneak peek.
So it's real quick. Well, great. Well, then I think that's all for this trip. And there's just always a few little things that I like to remind our travelers before they head out. So couple things here on your screen. You see 2 websites, the U.S. Government Travel Advisory and the Center for Disease Control. We always suggest for travelers to check out these sites before you go anywhere on any traveling, no matter who you're traveling with. So please do check these 2 sites out. On our website, this is osualum.com/travel. You'll see at the top COVID safety guidelines, and there's a drop down, and Mayflower is included in there, so you can see what the Mayflower's COVID safety guidelines are, as well as any of our other travel partners that we have. You'll see also on the left-hand side, there's a navigation bar to be able to click over to someplace where you can just ask me any question that you have about travel. Just type it in and I'll respond back. As well as travel talks and presentations like today. We have another one coming up next month where you just scheduled it. It's going to be March 30th. It's I'm calling it an open forum or fireside chat. Basically, it's just going to be an open forum. Instead of listening to us talk, we want to hear you talk, and you can ask us any question that you have about travel. So that's going to happen on the 30th. And then in April, we're working on a really fun wine tasting. It's a presentation in combination with another brand called Science on Tap. So we're going to do wine tasting and talk about Italy. with wine tasting in OSU in our fermentation sciences department. So that'll be in April.
Love that.
Yeah, look forward to that one. And then, so this on our travel talks page, this is where you can find the recordings of today's webcast as well as all of our other ones. And then always we have resources. So we have all types of FAQs and resources on travel insurance and all sorts of information. So we just want to check out that bit as well. And then our Facebook travel community, we really want to keep the conversation going with all of our travelers and anyone who's interested in traveling. I post regularly on that Facebook page things that are happening in the industry, research, what we're seeing in other countries, fun things. It's a whole mix of information that's shared on the Facebook travel page. So look for us there.
I love all those
well.
stories you put out. They are just
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah.
It's fun. Yeah, it's definitely fun. So that's all we have today. So thank you so much, Sandy, for being with us. It was so fun.
Thank you.
Yes, and
I
to
loved
learn
it.
about this trip. Yeah, it was a blast.
Yeah.
And we hope to travel with all of you soon.
Absolutely.
Right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Have a great day.